So middle talking over here about Dira B'Tachtonim. We started talking about it in last parak that Hashem created the world because He desired to have a Dira B'Tachtonim, a dwelling place here on this world. But it's not only that He wanted to dwell here in this world, but also an integral part, an integral component of this master plan was that this Dira should be created, this dwelling place should be created by the Tachtonim, by the inhabitants of this lowly world, which is us. And now in Perek, that was what we learned in Perek Lamed Vav. In Perek Lamed Zayin, we're trying to figure out how is it that we create this Dira B'Tachtonim. So we started the conversation last week. And we started the conversation with Torah and Mitzvah. So how does Torah and Mitzvahs, how does that make a Dira B'Tachtonim? So we said that every single time a person does a mitzvah using a physical object, he gives several examples as we discussed last week. Right? The hide of an animal, which is used for a Sefer Torah or a Tefillin or a Mezuzah. Right? Or an esrig, person takes an esrig, or when a person uses money and gives that money to tzedakah. In all these instances, these are all examples of elevating an aspect or an element from this world, from Eilam Hazeh HaTachton, and making that a dira for Hashem. And then it's not only about the physical objects with which we do the mitzvah, but as important, or perhaps even more important, is that we're doing the mitzvah with our nefesh habahamis. So that energy of the nefesh habahamis, which goes into doing the mitzvah or studying in Torah, because even when you study Torah or you daven, as we mentioned last week, akim masfasav havi ma'isa, you have to move your lips. So that energy, which is exerted in the action of the mitzvah or even the speech of the mitzvah, that energy also is elevated to kedusha. So thereby, that koyach, that energy of the nefesh hachiyunis, of the nefesh habahamis, also becomes a dira b'tachtonim. That's what we learned last week. So the more energy we put into a mitzvah, as we ended off last week, the more energy we put into davening or into learning or into a mitzvah, so that's more energy that we are elevating and transforming to kedusha, energy of klipas noiga, energy of the nefesh habahamis. Now, Hashem wants us to make a dira b'tachtonim. He created this entire world, and He wants this whole world to be a dwelling place for Him. Based on what we learned last week, we're very, very far away from ever accomplishing that goal, and we probably never will accomplish that goal. If you think about how huge this world is, and how much of this world is directly impacted through doing a mitzvah. How many esrogim are used for our mitzvah? How much money is used to give tzedakah? How many animals do we use their hide to make a Sefer Torah, Tefillin, or Mezuzah?
So how could you make the whole world?
We're not making the whole world a Dira B'Tachtonim. If that's the extent.
Well, we are unity together. We're doing it.
All together, we're still, we are 0.2% of the population. And as much as we use things for mitzvahs, first of all, there are many things that even we use that aren't for mitzvahs. And there are all the things. Think about the 1.2 billion people in China and everything that they're doing and everything they're using. How is that becoming a Dira B'Tachtonim? There has to be something more to the story, because if it's only about the actual objects with which we do mitzvahs and our nefesh hachayunis, then we're still a far way away from making the world into a Dira B'Tachtonim, the entire world. So that's what we're going to continue right now, and we're going to move into part 2 or phase 2 of how we make a Dira B'Tachtonim. Zois, this which we learned above, v'oid acharas, and there's something else also. Shekoyach nefesh hachiyunis hamislabesh es bo'is yis hadibur. That koyach, that energy of the nefesh habahamis, which is exerted and expended when a person says the words b'talmud Torah, tefillah, when a person is learning Torah or davening, or any other similar mitzvah which involves speech, or mitzvahs ma'asiyos, or that energy of the nefesh habahamis which goes into when a person does a action mitzvah. Where does that energy come from? That energy which you use to daven, to learn, to do a mitzvah, where does it come from? Hare kol gidulei v'chayusai. Where did it grow from? Where does it receive its energy from? Mehadam, from the blood. Shehu klipas noiga mamish, blood, which is klipas noiga. As Dr. Rebbe says already in Perek Aleph of Tanya, that the nefesh achiyunis is primarily in the blood, as it says in the Torah, ki hadam hu ha-nefesh. The nefesh is in the dam. But where does the blood come from? Shehein, the blood comes from kol eichlin u'mashkin, from all that a person ate and drank. She'achal, all the food and all the drink. She'achal v'shasa, that a person ate and drank. The nasudam, they have become blood. Sheha yutachas b'mshalta, that originally this food and this drink was klipas noiga. V'yanku chayusamim mena, and they received it, so their vitality, their energy from klipas noiga. Va'ata, now, when a person learns Torah or does a mitzvah, he mishapeches meralatoiv, this klipas noiga is now transformed from meralatoiv and nechlalas b'kedusha, and is subsumed in holiness. Al yidei koyach nefesh achiyunis. How does the klipas noiga, which was in the food and drink, how does it elevate it to kedusha? Through the koyach of the nefesh achiyunis, through the energy of the nefesh habahamis hagadol mimena, which comes from it, from the food and drink, and this energy of the nefesh habahamis shenislabish ba'isius elu is now invested within these words of Torah or davening, or in this act of a mitzvah. Asher hein, that this Torah and this mitzvah is pnim yisritzeni yisbarach, the inner will of Hashem. Believe shum hester panim, there is nothing hidden. Hashem is not hidden any which way in Torah mitzvahs. V'chayuston, and the chayis of the mitzvah nichlal gamkin is also subsumed the Erin Tzei Baruch Hu, in the infinite light of Hashem, Shehu Ritzoni Yisbarach, which is Hashem's will, Ubechayusan, and in the chayis of the mitzvah, Nichlal Vayla Gamkein, also is subsumed and is elevated also, Koyach Nefesh Achiyunis, the energy of the Nefesh Achiyunis, which is invested in this Torah mitzvahs. Vayideza, and through this, Tale Gamkein Klolos Klipas Noiga, all the klipas noiga of the entire world, which is all the energy of this physical world, everything becomes elevated to kedusha. Okay, so the Alter Rebbe lays down the first principle over here, which is that when a person does a mitzvah, it's not only the actual act, the energy of the act that is nichlal te kedusha. It's not only also the physical object with which one did the mitzvah that becomes elevated to kedusha and that becomes a dira for Hashem, but also there is the supporting cast. There is all that enabled the person to do the mitzvah, such as, for example, the food and drink that a person had, which then became the blood of the person, which then gave the energy for that mitzvah. So that food and drink also now becomes elevated and becomes a dira for Hashem. So once we include the supporting cast, suddenly we expand our sphere of influence, and as we'll see soon, that's going to cover the entire world, and thereby we make the whole world into a dira b'tachtonim.
How does it cover the whole world?
We're going to find out. We're going to find out. In other words, this is the general idea, and we'll do it more in detail. But before we get to that, we're going to talk about the person himself. As it turns out, the whole dira b'tachtonim starts within the person. Everything is nis'ala through the person. The whole world is nis'ala through the yid. When the chayis, when the energy which I put into my mitzvah, which is energy of klipas noiga, when that energy becomes kedusha, included in that energy is a lot more. My whole, what we'll find out is chelkei ba'olam, my portion in this world, is nis'ala, is elevated together with me. So dira b'tachtonim begins with me, and I pull along with me my part of the world, which is my entire supporting cast, which allows me to serve Hashem. So let's start with me. What makes a person a dira for Hashem? So let's do this inside. Kasher, how do we make the whole world dir b'tachtonim? It starts with kol haneshama v'nefesh alokis. When every neshama and every nefesh alokis b'chol Yisrael, which is in every single yid, it starts with every individual yid. Hamischalekes b'pratus l'shishim ribuy. As we know that in general the yidden are divided into 600,000 neshamas. So there's 600,000 parts. When every single one of these parts, tekayim kol nefesh pratis kol taryag mitzvah Torah. Every single neshama has to do all 613 mitzvahs of the Torah, the 365 negative commandments, and the 248 positive commandments, mitzvahs say. And every single part has to do that. Every single one of the 600,000 parts has to do every single mitzvah. And sometimes it's necessary for it to come down into different gilgulim.
How's it possible? We don't have Eretz Yisrael, a lot of mitzvahs that we go.
That's what I just said. Sometimes it has to come down into different gilgulim. So your neshama already did Truma Meiser. It was already 2,000 years ago in Eretz Yisrael. And if the fact that it's down here, it's because there's something else that it has to do. So every neshama comes down multiple times in order to be able to do all the mitzvahs. There are certain mitzvahs, for example, the mitzvahs of the Kohen Gadol, the mitzvahs of the Melech, which they're yotza for the entire Klal Yisrael. See, you're screaming at him. I think I'm guilty now.
I have it on buzzer.
But b'chlalus, generally speaking, so every neshama has to do every single mitzvah. It's why is it important to do every single mitzvah? So he's going to explain that the neshama has 240, just like everything is structured, right? Everything is structured in 613. Just like the body has 248 limbs, the neshama also has 248 parts to it. Each one corresponding to one part of the body. Every mitzvah corresponds to one limb of the body. So the body has 248 limbs, the neshama has corresponding 248 parts, and every single mitzvah that a person does, they are elevating that one part of the guf and neshama, or that part of the nefesh achiyunas, and elevating it to Hashem. That's why every yid has to do all 248 mitzvahs. The 365, so once that happens, then we've elevated the entire nefesh achiyunas. All the energy of the entire body is elevated to Hashem. What is the purpose of the 365 mitzvahs, the 365 negative commandments? So as the Alter Rebbe explains over here, the beer which is in this Perek, it's not coming to do anything, it's coming to prevent damage. The limbs accomplish things. You have a hand. The 365 gidin, which are the 365 veins of the body has 365 veins, whatever that means. They don't accomplish anything, but they hold the blood in place, and they keep the blood flow pure and going to the right places. They contain the blood. The 365 averas, every single avera, what happens is that if a person does an avera, they're, so to say, rupturing a vein and allowing in gimel klippas hatameis into that vein. Once there's gimel klippas hatameis in the body can't be elevated to kedusha, because gimel klippas hatameis cannot be elevated unless the person does tshuva, which, as we learned earlier on in Perek Vav, that when a person does tshuva, says dainis not so like Izachias, you can even Perek Zayin, that even those things which are averos can become mitzvahs if a proper tshuva is done. But so long as a person doesn't do tshuva, so if the body has been contaminated by gimel klippas hatmeis, which is any time a person does an avera, whether deraisa or derabanan, because every avera derabanan is simply an offshoot of one of the averas deraisa, so that's contaminating the body, which doesn't allow it to be elevated. So the 248 mitzvahs hasei are what makes the person, that elevate the person. That's what makes the person into dir b'tachtonim. And we have to stay away from the 365 Averis, because otherwise the body becomes contaminated and can't be a dira for Hashem. It cannot be elevated. So the mitzvahs and the Averis, the function of them both is to allow the person in his or her entirety to be a dira for Hashem, to be elevated, to be holy, and to be a dira for Hashem. Let's do this inside.
If somebody do the same Avera 3-4 times, so this 3 thing going to the vein, going all the way deep, it's very hard to get it out.
Yeah, that's true. You need a bigger tshuva and a deeper tshuva.
Wow.
Yeah. Let's start again.
We start.
Kasher kol haneshama.
Who is this?
8 lines from the top. Kasher kol haneshama, when every single neshama v'nefesh elikisha b'chol Yisrael, which is in every yid. Hamitzchalekes b'pratus. We know the neshamas in general are divided as we read this before. L'shishim ribui to 600,000. So tekayim kol nefesh pratis, when every single individual part, every 600,000ths is thus kol teryag mitzvah Torah, fulfills all the 613 mitzvahs, which are shasa leisasa. He starts with the 365 negative commandments leisasa, and their purpose is lahafrid, to separate shasa gidim, the 365 veins, shaldam nefesh achayuna shebeguf, which contain the blood of the nefesh habahamis in the body, shalayinku v'yikablu chayis b'aveirazu, that they should not receive nourishment and energy by when a person does an avera, mi'achas, mesholish, klipis, hatmeis, legamri, from one of the klipis which are completely impure, shemehem nishboim, shasa leisasa deiraisa, which from the gimel klipis hatmeis, that's where the averas come from. Every avera, the energy of every avera comes from one of the gimel klipis hatmeis, and also van feyan, and also the branches of the Averis, Shehemid Rabbanon, which are all the Rabbanon prohibitions which branch off of the Torah prohibitions. Vishuv, and once one of these veins is contaminated with Gimel Klibus Hatmeis, Leisuchal Nefesh Achayunis, the Nefesh Bahamis cannot lalis al Hashem, cannot go up to Hashem, im nitma'a, if it has become impure, betumas hashalosh Klibus Hatmeis, with the impurity of the 3 completely impure klipos she'ein lahan aliyah lo'elam, which can never be elevated, ki'im bittul v'avara legamri, they have to be destroyed. That even when Mashiach comes, the gimel klipos hatmeis will not be redeemed; they will be removed. They will be removed from the earth. So every single neshama has to stay away from all the 365 averis, and v'ramach mitzvah say, we have to do all the 248 mitzvahs. Why? To bring down and to reveal the infinite light of Hashem over here, and to elevate to Hashem, and to tie to Hashem, and to unite with Hashem, the entire nefesh achayunis, which is in the 248 limbs of the body, in complete unity, to completely unite with Hashem, as was the desire of Hashem. Hashem's desire was that every single one of us should be a dira b'tachtoinim. When we do this, we are a merkava to Hashem, just like Avraham, Yitzchak, and Yaakov were a merkava to Hashem. So right now we're talking about the person. We start with the person. We're going to afterwards. Once we finish with the person, we'll zoom out and we'll see how that impacts the entire world. They say charity starts at home. Dira b'tachtoinim starts at home. Dira b'tachtoinim, the elevation of this entire world, it starts with yourself, because, as we said, every person has a chelek ba'olam. Everyone has a portion in the world, and the way that your portion in the world becomes elevated is when you elevate yourself. You automatically drag along with you your portion in the world. How do you elevate yourself? And that's the 248 mitzvahs, the 365 prohibitions, 248 mitzvahs elevate your entirety, all 248 limbs of your nefesh habahamis. The 365 averis pull you down. If you have any one of those averis, until you do tshuva, they don't allow you to go up because that infects a certain part of you with klipa. So therefore, you can't be completely elevated. So all the mitzvahs, the function of all the mitzvahs is to allow you to be a dir b'tachtoinim. When you do all the mitzvahs and stay away from all the averis, then, as he says, then you are completely united with Hashem. This is what Hashem wanted. Hashem wants that you and I and every single one of us should be a dir b'tachtoinim, as we mentioned in previous weeks. That every single one of us is supposed to be this mishkan and this dira, and then we are a merkava to Hashem, a chariot for Hashem, k'meha avos, just like the avos. As we say in davening, Baruch Atah Hashem, Elokeinu, right? Our God. Then we say Elokei Avraham, Elokei Yitzchak, Elokei Yaakov. That just like Hashem is Elokei Avraham, Elokei Yitzchak, and Elokei Yaakov. When we do mitzvahs, we cause the Eibush there should be Elokeinu also. That we are a Merkavat Hashem, as we learn Mitzvah Hashem in the coming prakim. So it starts with us.
How does it do with the whole world? There's only Shisha people. There's
Coming,
only a certain amount.
it's coming. Patient.
How many houses and how many fields?
He's impatient. He wants to know already.
Yeah.
Weiter. Let's continue. 6 lines from the bottom of page 94. So this is every single yid. Once we get all 600,000 yidden, all 600,000 neshamas. So all the nefesh hachiyunis and all the yidden, tia merkava kadosh al Hashem. Once they all become a merkava to Hashem, azai then gam klolos achayis. All the energy shel elam haza of this entire world. Shehi klipas nega achshav, which is now klipas nega, teitzei az mitumasa v'chalaasa. The whole klipas nega will leave its impurity and its state of illness. V'talu l'kedusha liyas merkava l'Hashem. It will go up to kedusha, and all the klipas nega will be a merkava to Hashem. Bizgalus kavode. This will happen when Mashiach comes. The revelation of Hashem's glory, v'ro kol basar yachtav. When all flesh will see Hashem, v'yafi aleim, and Hashem will appear upon them all, b'hadar go'inu uzay, with the splendor of the might of His greatness, v'yimalich v'ed Hashem es kol haaretz, and Hashem's glory will fill the entire world. V'Yisrael yiru ayin ba'ayin k've matan Torah, and then we will see eye to eye Hashem as it was in Matan Torah. If you remember, we spoke last Perek, we said that Mashiach is really it happened once by Matan Torah, but the problem was then it wasn't lasting, because then it was imposed from above. But then we will see. But then at that time, Vayidei Zeh, Diksiv, as the pasuk Matan Torah, it'll be just like again by Matan Torah Diksiv. Just like Matan Torah, it says Ata Reis Oladas, that you revealed yourself, and we should know Ki Hashem Hu Elokim, that Hashem is Hashem is Elokim Einid Movadei. Vayidei Zen, through this, okay, so once, if all the Yidden become elevated, we elevate all the Klipas Nega. Vayidei Zen, okay, let's stop for a second. What's going on over here? The Alter Rebbe is going to explain it more as we go on, but let's do a little outside over here. We know that the whole world was created b'shvil Yisrael, b'shvil HaTorah. Everything. So when Hashem created the world, it's not just, one of the ideas of, it's not just when He created the world 5,778 years ago, everything was b'shvil Yisrael, b'shvil HaTorah. But we know ha'mechadesh b'tuvei b'chol yom tamid ma'aseh bereishis, that every single day and every single moment Hashem is renewing creation, and at every moment creation is b'shvil Yisrael, b'shvil HaTorah, for the Yidden and for Torah. Which means that there's nothing in this world which doesn't serve a Yid and doesn't serve Torah. Because Kol Ma Shebara Kadosh Baruch Hu Be'elameh, So, Leibara davar echad levatala, Hashem didn't create not one thing for naught, and everything He created was for His glory. And just like if a person, even a person, a basar v'dam, a flesh and blood, if a person has a certain goal, a certain objective, and even if that person has to create a whole mechanism and system to bring the person to that goal, it's obvious that there's not going to be anything extraneous that the person puts into the system, and every single part of that system is there only to lead to the ultimate goal. And the same thing is when and how much more so when Hashem creates the world, that every single part of the world is for B'shvil Yisrael, B'shvil HaTorah. So the world is divided into 600,000 parts. Meaning that if there's 600,000 general neshamas, and as we'll see soon, obviously there are more than 600,000 yidden, because every one of these neshamas divide into 600,000. So really there's 600,000 times 600,000, and maybe even more than that. How much is that for anyone who's quick at math?
600,000 square?
Yeah.
I had to get my computer.
My daughter told me that it's 360 billion.
What?
I have no way to prove her or disprove her what she said. She said it's 360 billion.
Yeah, sounds right.
Sounds right?
Sounds right.
Okay. So the 360 billion sparks. But bottom line is the world is divided into 600,000. Each one of these parts is further divided into 600,000. These are the neshamas throughout all the generations. And also sometimes one person can have more than one spark. It's not necessarily dafka one spark per person. And the neshama klalis can have more sparks. But the point is that every part of the world is there to help a certain yid. There is no part which is not there to help a certain yid, because if every part of the world is created for B'shvil Yisrael, B'shvil HaTorah, that means that there's nothing which isn't there to help a specific yid in his or her avodah and serving Hashem and his or her Torah mitzvahs. Your job in this world, that's your chelik ba'olam. That's 600,000th, or it's even less, because again, we are all branches off the 600,000. You have a part in the world which you have to elevate. And how do you elevate? Again, it's not that we think that it's not that when you put on film. Yeah, that's true, that when you put on film, you're elevating that film. It's more than that. Every time, if you're serving Hashem and you elevate yourself, then you elevate also the entire, as we mentioned, the entire supporting cast. Everything's elevated with you. You elevate yourself and you drag along your chelik ba'olam.
Because they support your
because
you do the mitzvah.
How are you able to do the mitzvahs? How are you able to elevate yourself? How this energy of klipas noiga, which you're elevating, the 248 ivarim, you couldn't do it without the food that you're eating and the drink that you're doing. You can't do it without the house, and you can't do it without your computer. You can't do it without your air conditioner. You can't do it without your car. So everything becomes elevated. Now, the pasuk says in Tilim that Me Hashem mitzadi gever kinon, which means that Hashem leads the footsteps of man. And the Rebbe writes in Hayom Yom that tzaddikim, they know where they have to go. They know exactly where their chelik ba'olam is, and they go there. They're drawn to their chelik ba'olam. They know exactly where to go. And the rest of us, how do we know where to go?
Follow the money.
We follow the money. Well, that's the Eibushter. You know, what do you have like you have like the chveisa pet, and you have like the fish which they saw like in SeaWorld. You know, they hold the fish on top of the whale to lead it. The money sometimes leads you, but it's not the money. It's not the money at all. The person's Hashem leads the footsteps of the rest of us, those people who we can't see exactly where we're supposed to go. And ultimately, we're led to our chelik ba'olam. And ultimately, this was the reason for Galus. The whole Galus is that why couldn't we all stay in Eretz Yisrael? The real purpose of Galus, the ultimate purpose of Galus is that everyone has to go out in the world and fan out through the world. And one person goes to this country, and one goes to this country. And this way, the entire world becomes a dira. But the truth is that this idea, I just imagine that the Alter Rebbe wrote this in in 1796, when the Alter Rebbe wrote the Tanya, people didn't really, you learned it, you were mekabel, b'kabbalah soil, you accepted. I accept that. If Hazay state, Hazay state. But at the end of the day, as we mentioned, there's Australia, and there's the 1.2 billion people in China and in India, and even with the whole supporting cast, how are we getting there? So one person goes on a business trip to Hong Kong, and he's mile of the whole China. How does that work? But today this makes perfect sense. They say, I don't know if it's true or not, but they say a story that the Rebbe once spoke about this by Farbrengen, and someone asked the Rebbe, how, what's with all the people in China? And the Rebbe says, look at the lapel of your suit, what does it say? He looked at it, made in China. Today we have such a small world that literally all you have to do is buy yourself a phone or a computer or a suit, and the components that are in there are from everywhere. Mamish from everywhere. And then you realize like this, okay, so if this suit, let's say it comes from, I have no idea where it comes from, let's see. Made in Tunisia. The suit. Tunisia, yeah, okay. There have been plenty of Yidden in Tunisia over the years, but let's start. This suit is made in Tunisia, okay? So there is the machines in Tunisia, the workers in Tunisia, the food that those workers eat, their houses. Why do those workers exist? Why do they need food in the house? It's all the Eibishter, because so that each should be able to buy a suit and use the suit to be able to serve the Eibishter and to daven and learn. And with today's small little world which we live in, it's Pashut so easy to see how you can sit. You don't even have to go anywhere. You can Pashut sit in your place where you are and be mevarer the entire world. So where's your chelik ba'olam? My chelik ba'olam might be Tunisia. I live here in Brooklyn, but it's very possible that my chelik, that my portion that I have to be mevarer, or at least one of them, is in Tunisia. I didn't practice this. I had no idea what it would say. But yeah. I'm talking about everyone having a chelik ba'olam. It gives a whole new perspective. There's a story, I might have said this story once, that many years ago, I think it was in the 70s, there was an Ashei Chabad convention in Michigan. So women from Chabad from all over the country, they went to Michigan, and then there was a big snowstorm in Michigan, and they got stuck there. Flights were all canceled. So they called the Rebbe in New York. They spoke to the Rebbe's secretary, and they told the Rebbe that we're stuck here in Michigan. What should we do? So the secretary came back with the Rebbe's response, and he said, the Rebbe doesn't understand what the word stuck means. So the woman started to explain. It means, the secretary cut her off, said, no, he doesn't mean he doesn't understand the English meaning of the word stuck.
What you do after that?
But what does the word stuck mean? The definition of stuck is that I'm somewhere where I'm not supposed to be. That's what stuck means.
Sure.
I'm not supposed to be here, but I have no choice but to be here. But a Yid doesn't believe that. To Yid, there's no such thing ever as being stuck. If you're in a certain place, it's obviously that your chelik in the world is sitting over here in this place, and you have to be mevarer over here. And the Rebbe said, therefore, use out the time and go on to go on Mitzvah and to spread the different mitzvahs. And the Rebbe said, we have to learn a hirah, B'avodas Hashem, from everything that we see in here. So since the reason why you're there is because there's a storm, which in Yiddish is a shturim, so therefore your mitzvahim has to be mitashturim. It has to be with the whole storm, the mitzvahim that you do, and that's why you're there. But it's just the idea that the word stuck doesn't exist in a Yid's vocabulary. If you understand this concept, you have a chelik ba'olam. And the Eibishter, that's the beauty of it, is the Eibishter doesn't make you find your chelik ba'olam. He brings it to you, whether the job is in that place, or whether the shidduch is in that place, or whether you're getting your whatever, your car, or your phone, or your hat, or your food. Food today, it used to be, the whole society changed. It used to be that today where there's this whole there's this movement back to buying local. Buying local. So like in Crown Heights every week there's a farmer's market, and you buy locally grown produce. I'm not sure exactly what the mile is in it, but it used to be that really that what everything that a person used probably came from a 50-mile radius. The food that you ate, the clothing, everything was locally grown, locally harvested. And today, one of the biggest challenges of the kashrus industry today, as I'm sure you all know, or many of you are familiar, is that in that little can of tomato sauce that you buy in the store, there are different chemicals that come from 20 different companies, preservatives and additives and coloring, and so it's a whole kashrus today is a whole global industry. And then you have to have different. You have a company like in Taiwan that makes a preservative. That's all it does. So you have to have kashrus supervisors coming, and then that preservative is in. So it's a whole world of trading kashrus certificates for these ingredients which you have no clue about. All these things you have no clue about, but they're there, and ultimately they help in your service of Hashem if you do it properly. So the key is all starts again. It all starts within yourself. It starts within yourself when you have to elevate yourself to the Eibishter. How do you elevate yourself? Through the 248 mitzvahs and 365 mitzvahs leisasa. And then you have your chelik ba'ilam, which automatically, when your nefesh hachayunis is elevated, everything, all that went into that and that allowed it and that enabled it, its supporting cast, that is elevated together with it, and that's how we elevate the entire world. And an important idea over here is the idea of the pasuk v'chishev machshav is the vilti yidach mimenu nidach, which means that every single Jew ultimately does their job.
What becomes of the Averis that didn't do tshuva on?
Averis people do tshuva on, or if a person doesn't do tshuva, so the person passes away and the neshama is cleansed. That's the whole kapara.
The enemy you talk about.
Yeah, and then the neshama gets sent on again, or part of the neshama. Without getting into the whole idea of Gilgulim and how it works exactly at this point, but the idea is every single person, whether begilgul zeh or begilgul acher, every person does tshuva, because there's no yid that's pushed away, there's no yid that remains outside the pale, so every single yid ultimately will do his or her job. Your choice is, do you want to do it now or do you want to delay it? Do you want to delay it to later in your life or do you want to delay it to your next life? But it's not an option whether or not you're going to do it, because Hashem's plan depends on you. Hashem's plan depends on you. And this gives a whole new understanding into the importance of the Yid. There's one thing, if you have an army of 1 million people, let's say 100,000 standing army, what's the value in every single soldier? Is every soldier valuable? Absolutely. Because if one soldier isn't valuable, then 1 million soldiers also aren't valuable. Simple math. Right? A million is only important because it's 1 million times 1. But at the end of the day, is one soldier really so important out of 1 million? So in terms of Klal Yisrael, you can look at yourself and you say, what, there are millions and millions of Yidden. We're all learning Torah and doing mitzvahs, and we're working to make a dir b'tachtonim, to bring Mashiach. Okay, so I'm important because I'm part of this huge army, and this army is doing very important work. So as an element of this army, I'm also very important. But what if I decide that I'm going on vacation, I'm going to sleep, what's going to happen? So there's another 999,999, and they'll manage. But what Alter Rebbe is telling us over here is that that's not the way it works. Mashiach is not coming until you get your act together. That's the bottom line. And it's going to happen. It's going to happen. Begilgul zeh, begilgul acher. Now, I just have to make it clear that it's very possible that in the previous Gilgulim, you already were Masakin 247 out of the 248. And now you're just waiting for that 248th mitzvah, whatever it may be. But if you're here in this world, that means you have something to do which no one else can do. It's not just that we're all together, we're all doing the same thing, and there's this cup that we have to fill with mitzvahs, and when all of us fill the cup, Mashiach's coming. It's every single one of us has our designated chelik ba'olam. Everything in the world was created with a purpose. There is a part of the world that was created to enable you to do Torah mitzvahs. And when you do Torah mitzvahs, you are going to be mevar that. No one else can. If you're not going to, you missed the opportunity. That chelik ba'olam is still going to wait for you to come back. Either you're going to have to come to back to that place, or you're going to have to buy another suit from Tunisia. And if not in this lifetime, it'll happen the next lifetime. But that gives a really a new understanding of the importance of every single one of us and the role that we play. It's not just that I'm playing one small part in this larger army in which everyone is doing the same thing, and we just have to reach a certain mass, a certain critical mass. But there's actually an individual chelik ba'olam which you have, which is waiting for you.
Did the Zohar did not say that they have only 3 Gilgulim? Cannot have more than 3 Gilgulim?
No. The Tzara doesn't talk about Gilgulim too much. It does a little, but not too much.
Somewhere I read
Kisvi Arizal. It says that if a person comes down 4 times and doesn't rectify anything, then he's nisgalgal in an animal after that as a punishment. As a kapara, but that's only if nothing was rectified. If every single time you do a little more rectification, you can come down unlimited amount of times. But that's what.
But there's no assurances that when he comes down as a Gilgul at any point in time that he's going to rectify his situation.
No,
There's no assurances because it's. Again, he has free will. He might wind up being worse off than before.
There is free will, but at the same time, as the pasuk says in Shmuel, "V'chishev machshaves," that Hashem made a lot of plans and a lot of machinations, levilti yidach mimeno nidach, to make sure that no yid is left behind, to make sure no yid becomes a nidach. No yid is permanently pushed away. Which means that although we have free choice, ultimately, as it says, Alter Rebbe says this many times in Tanya and Shulchan Aruch, begilgul zeh begilgul acher, whether in this gilgul or another gilgul, you're going to do tshuva. It's going to happen, and you're going to do your job. And in your hands is only if you want the earlier or the later. But this is not a musar shmuz. The point over here is to understand how important we are. The point is to understand the role that we play and realize how critical each one of us are to Hashem's dira b'tachtonim. You know, it's not as Hashem wanted a dira, and He put down millions of people and said, "Go do it." You know, all of you collectively go do it. No. He actually divided the world and said, "I want a dira, and here's the world dividing it. And every single one, you have your part." It's really a new understanding of the topic, and again, it underscores how critical a role each one of us plays individually in the ultimate divine plan. Every single one of us is indispensable. The Medrash says actually that there's 600,000 neshamas, and 600,000 Yidden, that these were general neshamas that went out of Mitzrayim. Had one of them not gone out of Mitzrayim, Hashem wouldn't have given the Yidden the Torah. Because it's 600,000. Every single one of us had to be there. Every single one of us had to get that mission, because every single one of us is indispensable ultimately in this plan of Dira B'Tachtayna.
it includes the Erev, the 600,000.
600,000 does not include the Erev. So, till now we dealt with the Klippas Noiga. What's with Gimel Klippas Hatmei? So we said, if all the Yidden elevate themselves, then automatically the whole world is elevated. That's the point we're saying. The whole Klippas Noiga of the entire world becomes elevated because everything in the world is there to support a Yid. If all the Yidden collectively elevate themselves to Torah mitzvahs, when the Yidden all become a Dira B'Tachtoinim, the world automatically becomes a Dira B'Tachtoinim. And again, this understanding that even I think many Lubavitchers don't know about Dira B'Tachtoinim. That Dira B'Tachtoinim is you elevating yourself, and your Chelik Ba'olam is dragged along with it. Yeah, there's the element that when you eat matzah, that becomes a dira. There's certain things that you actively take and make into a dira. So yeah, you can be a sofer and you can make a pure tefillin. You can, you shake a lulav. But most of your chelik ba'olam is not something which you're doing actively. It's passive. By you elevating yourself, automatically your whole supporting cast, the factory in Tunisia, becomes elevated, not by me flying down to Tunisia and doing anything. That factory and all the workers in there, and the builders who built the factory, and the food that the workers are eating, all that's elevated by me elevating myself. So yeah, there is a certain amount that I elevate directly by my interaction with it and doing a mitzvah. But most of my chelik ba'olam I elevate not by interacting with it, but by me doing mitzvahs. And by me elevating myself and elevating my entire Klippas Nega, automatically the whole part of Klippas Nega of the world, which was designated for me, also becomes elevated. And when Mashiach comes, that's what's going to happen. Collectively, all the Yidden will be Adir B'Tachtonim, which automatically will translate into the whole world, the Klippas Nega of the whole world being elevated and also being Adir B'Tachtonim. But what's with the Gimel Klippas Hatmeis? That we can't elevate. What do we do with all the Gimel Klippas Hatmeis?
You said they're going to be separate.
So let's do this inside. Three lines from the top of Beis Memches. Sorry? 3 lines from the top of page Memches. And through this, will be swallowed up and completely nullified. These are the 3 impure klippos. And why is that? How does we know that Klippa has nothing of its own? Ultimately, everything comes from Hashem. And all source of energy and vitality is only from Hashem. Nothing has independent existence. So everything has to receive its chayis from Kedusha. So where does Gimel Klippas Hatmeis get its chayis from? Gimel Klippas Hatmeis is so abhorrent and it's so far from Kedusha, it doesn't receive chayis directly from Kedusha. It receives chayis from Kedusha only by way of Klippas Nega. Klippas Nega is the middleman, the intermediary between Kedusha and Gimel Klippas Hatmeis. So Klippas Nega gets chayis from Kedusha, and from Klippas Nega, also Gimel Klippas Hatmeis get their chayis. So Yinikasan v'chayus l'makdusha achshav Gimel Klippas Hatmeis, they get their nourishment and their chayis from Kedusha hi al yidei Klippas Nega, through Klippas Nega hamimutzas beineihen, which is the middle, hamimutza, which is the intermediary between them. V'nimtza, so it turns out kikol tachlis shleimeis hamashiach u'tchias hamesim. The whole point of Yemeis HaMashiach and Tchias HaMesim, Shu Gilui Kvoidoi. Oh, so I'm sorry. We'll stop here a second before V'nimtza. So if Mashiach comes, all of Klippas Nega is elevated to Kedusha, then automatically there is no Gimel Klippas Hatmeis. You cut off, right? You cut off its energy supply, because the whole energy supply to Gimel Klippas Hatmeis is from Klippas Nega. So it's a chain reaction. When we elevate ourselves, when all the Yidden collectively elevate ourselves to Torah and mitzvahs, so we drag along with us the Klippas Nega of the entire world, because again the world is divided into 600,000, and the Klippas Nega is elevated to Kedusha. Once Klippas Nega is elevated to Kedusha, Gimel Klippas Hatmeis automatically loses its existence because it can't receive directly from Kedusha. So it turns out the whole objective, which is Yemeis HaMashiach, the days of Mashiach, Tchias HaMesim, Shehu, which then what will we have? Gili Kvodi Velkusei Yizbarach will have the revelation of Hashem's kavod and the godliness of Hashem. And at that time, the spirit of impurity will be removed from the land. Totally, what does it all depend on? Mashiach comes, there will be these 2 things, the revelation of Hashem and the removal of all Tumah. What does it depend? It depends on us sanctifying ourselves, our own nefesh achayunis, that every single Yid elevating their own nefesh abahamis, in all 248 limbs of the nefesh achayunis, ayidei kiyuma kol ramach mitzvah, through doing all the 248 positive mitzvahs, and to make sure that we are not contaminated by the tumah, by observing kol shasam mitzvahs, all the 365 mitzvahs, so that so that the 365 veins do not receive any nourishment from Gimel Klippas Hatmeis. Now the Rebbe is going to say inside that which we said outside. Ki klolos Yisrael, Yidden as a whole, Shem Shishim Ribi Neshamas Pratius, which include 600,000 individual souls. Hem klolos Achayis or klolos Ha'olam. They are, the whole energy of the entire world is included in the Yidden. Why? Because everything was created for the world. Actually, we talked that everything was created b'shvil Yisrael, and also the Yidden, the word Yisrael is also li roish, that we are the Eibishter's roish. Why roish? Just like the head of the body, all the chayis of the body comes through the head. The same thing as the chayis of the whole world comes through Klal Yisrael. The chol prat mihem. Every detail, every individual spark, in other words, every one of these 600,000 neshamas, koilul includes v'shayich loy, and pertains to him achayis shal cheluk echad, the chayis of one part, meshishim riboy from 600,000, miklalos ha'olam from the entire world. 1/600,000th of the world is included within every single Yiddish neshama, and connected and contingent upon a Yiddish neshama. Hatali benafshei chayunas. Verstehst? This part of the world, this one part, depends on your nefesh chayunas lahaloisei l'Hashem, to be elevated by Hashem, ba'aliyasa, when it's elevated. When your nefesh habahamis is elevated, as mentioned, that's when you pull along with it. It's whole chelik ba'olam. It pulls along whatever you used in this world. Whatever your body and your nefesh yunis needs, lavedas Hashem. You have to realize the beauty of this. What does your neshama need in this world? Nothing. So your neshama doesn't elevate anything. It's your nefesh yunis to live. You need all these things. You need, right? Kigoyin, for example, achila oshia, food and drink, v'deimem, similar to them, v'dira, your house, v'chol klei tashmishav, all your furniture, right? That's all for your nefesh hachayunis. So when you elevate your nefesh hachayunis, you pull along everything along, which again, when Dr. Rebbe said this, probably people still had a difficult time understanding how this really takes along the entire world. But today is something which is mamish nira b'chush. I guarantee you, if you went and took a stock and inventory of your house, you probably couldn't really do that because you don't know what's in your paint on your house. But if you took it, you'd probably find things from there from literally every single country in the world. That would be my, I guess, I don't know, maybe not North Korea, but we're talking about kamat everything in every single one of our houses. But these 600,000 individual souls, as we mentioned earlier, they are roots, because obviously there are more than 600,000 Yidden throughout the generations. And every one of these roots divides further into 600,000 sparks. So 600,000 times 600,000. What?
It started with 600,000 neshamas, and then
each one subdivided.
So how do you deal with the numbers of how many Yidden there are today?
Let's say you have 18 million Jews, so we just have even less. It's there's more than we're just less than a nitzutz over here. Yeah.
Less than one.
How do you
No. The mathematics don't work too well.
How do you call?
So first of all, you have the Yidden throughout the generations.
Millions and
Number
millions.
one. And number two, I mentioned it could be there's more, a Yid can have more than one nitzitz. If you have more than one nitzitz, that means there's more than one part of the world that corresponds to you. I don't know. Maybe today you can Tanya that we have much more parts because, again, your Zayda, how many parts of the world was he able to elevate? Today, you, again, if I just take my clothing, how many parts of the world am I elevating today? Maybe today we have more nitzutzim. I don't know. But that's just I'm not a Kabbalist, so that I can't.
It's just a small piece of the neshama of the whole piece.
Okay, a spark, yeah.
The Shishim Ribui was the sum total of I think Adam Rishna Kadman. That's
Adam Rishna contains 600,000.
600,000. Now you send there's small fragments of that.
Correct.
Sparks.
Correct.
Millions,
So-
millions. 600,000 is a small number compared to
What each one 600,000. Each one had.
So, and your question is, the math doesn't work out because what? Because there are more sparks than Yidden then?
That's right.
So I'm saying one Yid can have many sparks.
He's not sure Israel's more.
One Yid can have many sparks. That's not my theory. As I state, it's brought down that Yidden can have more than one spark. I don't know exactly how that works. Who gets more? Who gets less? A bigger Yid, a smaller Yid. A Neshama Klalis is brought down gets more. It gets even more. Then he says, "V'chein benefesh v'ruach." The same thing is also there's the same amount is this is neshama. There's also nefesh and there's ruach, and that's b'chol ilam arba ilam is atzilus bri yitzir asiya. There's that many amount of neshamas in each one of the worlds. So now we're talking ridiculous numbers. In other words, if you're going to start at 600,000 times 600,000 times 3, and then times times 4. It's crazy numbers, these numbers. But the bottom line is, the math is not important here. The important thing to understand is that every single yid has their portion. V'chol nitzutz, every single spark. Lo yarad lo yolam haza. The only reason why I came down to this world. Av shehirida g'dayla. Ubechinas galos mamish. For a neshama to come down to this world, we have to understand the incredible yirida that it is and the galos that it is for the neshama. Kigam sheyit tzadi gomer. Even this is incredible words. Alter Rebbe is saying you can have someone who's at tzadi gomer. Eved Hashem beyira v'ava rabbi b'tanugim. It serves Hashem with an incredible fear and incredible awe and an incredible love, the greatest love imaginable. Lo yagia l'maylas dvekusei ma'Hashem. He will not reach the level of his connection to Hashem. B'tchilu rechimu, the love and the fear. B'terem yiridasei le'olam hazeh chumri, will not be able to achieve the same connection to Hashem, the fear and love that it had before it came down to this world. And as you're saying, you might think, okay, so it's a little lower. No. Le'mina v'lei miktsasa. Not even a tiny amount. Ve'in erech v'dimin b'neim klal. You can't even compare them. That's how incredible the descent is. Why? So why does the neshama come down here? K'nei l'chol maskul is known. To all those who understand, shaguf eni yachal lisboil. The body can't tolerate that which the neshama experiences in the higher worlds. So why did the neshama have to come down into this world where it can experience a connection to Hashem, even if it is the greatest tzaddik? Allah, the only reason it comes down, Yiridas Lilam Haza, is Lislabish Beguf and Shachiyunis, to come into a body in that Shachiyunis, who Gdei Lisaknam Bilvad, is to fix and elevate and rectify them. Ulafridam Mehara Shal Shalosh Klub Satmeyis, and to make sure that they stay clear from the Shalosh Klub Satmeyis, Ayidei Shmira Shasa Leisasa, through keeping the 365 negative commandments van feyen and all their branches, ulalois nafshei chiyunis, and to elevate the nefesh achiyunis im chelka shaychla, with its entire portion, meklalos yolam hazeh, from the whole world, right? The nefesh hamis and its whole portion, ulakashram liyachtam ba'erin seiv baruchu, and to connect them and to unite them with the erin sof asher yamshich bahem, which the infinite light of Hashem, which you bring down into them, ayidei kiyumei kol ramach mitzasei, by doing all the 248 mitzvah, benafshei chiyunis, with your nefesh achiyunis, shehi hamakayemes kol hamitzvahs maisiyas kanal, because it is your nefesh achiyunis that are doing all the mitzvahs, the action mitzvahs, as I mentioned earlier, commission is mar. Be'etz chaim shar chavav, and these are, as explained in the Eitz Chaim, these are very, very critical words. Ki hanashama atzma eina tzricha tikun klal chul. It's very important. The neshama did not come down into the world for its own sake. The neshama doesn't need to be rectified. The neshama is perfect, the neshama is holy, the neshama is godly. The neshama did not come down for its own purpose. Why did it come down? To rectify the guf. The only reason why it comes down into this world is rak lahamshech saknam, to bring down the light of Hashem, to rectify the body of the nefesh bahamis. And this is mamish similar to the idea that the Eibishter goes into Galus. We know it says Galu la'adam Shechina imayim, Galu la'bava Shechina imayim. Wherever the Yidden goes, the Shechina is with us. The Shechina is with us. It's called Galus HaShechina. Why? What's the purpose of this? So it says, the Gemara says that the reason why we go into Galus is to get Gedim. We need added converts. So there's Gedim in the practical sense, but also Gedim means all the nitzutzes, the whole world. We convert the whole world. We're elevating the whole klippa of the world. So the reason why that the Eibishter goes into Galus is also to bring about this idea of Dira B'Tachtoinim. And this is a soid. He means Besoid Galus HaShechina. It's a secret. It makes no sense that Hashem should be in Galus just to elevate some sparks. And the same thing is, it doesn't really make sense on neshama. Neshama, chilek lekam Baal, coming down in this world for what? To elevate a body. The purpose isn't the neshama. The purpose is the body. The purpose is the nefesh bahamis. It's a soid. It's taka a secret. But we should know that just like it's true with us, it's true with the Eibishter. Hashem also goes into galus in order to be able to elevate and to bring about his this purpose of dir b'tachtonim. So ultimately, what we learned today was a very. We're really beginning to understand the system of dir b'tachtonim. That it's through Torah mitzvahs. We really make the entire world in dir b'tachtonim, which will be revealed in Yirtzeh Hashem very soon when Mashiach comes.